Happy October. We are kicking off this spooky month with a series of films that all have one thing in common: normal, everyday things that incite fear. This week, we discuss The Creator, where artificial intelligence created to help make life easier has, in fact, made it extremely deadly. Joining me in the co host chair is.
It's Jared. I'm back again.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute. Good seeing you. I'm Chad, and you're listening to the 128th episode of We Used to Talk About This at Work. All right, so Jared and I were just chit chatting a little bit, offline, of course, and we were like, "Hey, I'm going to see The Creator. You're going to see The Creator. Let's do a little something extra for the people. It's still in theater, so this is a little special for you guys. So yeah, we're gonna get to that to the end of the show. We're gonna, just hit a couple of hot topics and stuff as we go down the line, as we are seldom do. Jared, you want to talk about the end of the writer strike?
Yes, yes. So as we know, the writers in Hollywood have been on a strike for over 100 days. I think it's like half a year basically, or something along little, maybe a little more than half a year. And I guess technically it's not over, but they've like tentatively agreed on a deal. So
Right.
it's like so the actors are technically still on strike, but I think basically what I was reading was like once the writers came to this deal, it sort of like set the groundwork for the actors to end their strike too. So
Yeah.
hopefully everything will be like back to normal. But I was reading that like the writers were happy with the deal and they got some like AI protections and all of
Hmm.
that. So I
And
was happy. I was happy to hear that.
they're also gonna get to see the streaming numbers.
Yeah,
So I can't wait till that gets leaked,
I know.
because I really want to know what the numbers are on these shows that they keep canceling.
Yes, because that's the thing. It's like the people who own these streaming sites, they're not obligated to reveal the numbers, So you basically just kind of have to go based on what they tell you the numbers are. So now we
Right.
kind of, we'll be able to look behind the curtain in a way to see like what's really going on with the views and whatnot. So I'm just happy it's over because I just, I love movies, I love TV, so
Mhm.
it's, I guess, in a selfish way, but I'm happy that, that they're happy with the deal. So it's good.
I'm happy that we're gonna start getting real news articles now, instead of
Yeah.
like fluff. Like, what was that? Where I forwarded you an article a couple of weeks back where they were interviewing the director of the Marvels, where the the title was something along the lines of, the director gets candid about the process of
Yeah.
her latest Marvel movie. And basically she was talking about how, yeah, man, fucking this is Kevin Feige's movie. Like, yeah, we
Right.
know.
We know
We
that.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not news. That's literally the MCU has been doing this for
Yeah.
quite a few years now. We know that it's Kevin Feige's movie.
So I don't know. We just it's just been a lot of like not news stories, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's been slow motion for sure.
yeah. So I'll be happy to like not have reputable film sources basically write clickbait.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they didn't have a choice. It's like, what can
That's
you write about at this point?
right. No, I agree. I mean, because celebrities for the most part have been laying low, so you can't even do like too much gossipy stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to go against the strike and,
Yeah.
get your fellow actors and writers against you and all of that. So I
You
get it,
don't
but
you don't want to be a Drew Barrymore.
right. She's like, I'm doing my show.
Did you see that now that the writer strike is coming to an end, her writers have said that they aren't going to go back to her show?
No, I didn't see that.
Or I saw that article today, so it may have been written today. So they
Yeah.
essentially quit.
Wow. Hey, it is what it is. Like, they obviously weren't happy, but
I mean, yeah. But also, like, to play devil's advocate, I get where she's coming from, because like there's a lot of other staff that aren't writers that aren't
True.
getting paid.
True.
So I get where she was coming from, but also be a John Oliver, like where he's going on. He is currently on tour, comedy tour right now, to have the money to pay his staff.
Yeah, that's a real move right there.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So
That's dope. I didn't know.
yeah,
I actually didn't know he was doing that, but it kind of reminds me of like the Keanu Reeves thing on the Matrix, where it's like he basically gave the VFX artists like huge amounts of money, like paid them on top of what they already got paid because it's
good,
like,
good.
so it's kind of like a thing like that. But like in this situation, it's a little bit different because Keanu Reeves was totally voluntary. I guess his was totally voluntary too, but
Yeah,
it's just
like
different
John
circumstances.
John
But
Oliver not obligated to give
yeah, he's
them
not
money
obligated to pay
outside.
them. Yeah,
Yeah. So like my thing is like Drew Barrymore, you've been in enough stuff. You could have hit the fucking the con circuit.
true.
I mean I've seen like Zoe Saldana and other like
Hmm.
bigger named actors on the con circuit where normally they wouldn't be doing that.
True. True. But that's dope that he did that.
Yeah.
I kind of see him a different way now.
I mean
Like in a more positive light.
he's always seemed like a good dude. I mean,
Yeah.
I've not seen a lot of his show, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I just mean like when I hear his name now, I'm gonna be like, okay, he did that for his crew. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you earned a lot of goodwill with the people by doing
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes. I don't know. Like there's other ways to pay your staff. Like if you don't want to just come out of pocket. Like
Yeah.
so I don't know, man. But my little hot topic is at the St. Louis Art Museum right now until the end of the year, they have a hip hop exhibit. So just for context for those not from the St. Louis area, our art museum is totally free to go in and look at. But this specific exhibit costs money. So it's like $12 a person. But it's
Mm,
pretty cool. It just kind of takes you through the history of rap and hip hop and like, various forms of art, whereas like either like photos from the past or like album covers or like magazine covers. There's a visual component where they're like playing some music videos. They have like actual outfits and grills from like specific rappers or chains and stuff. It's a really fascinating exhibit, and it was pretty cool. Like I'm really glad I made time to go and check it out. And here's a plug: if you have time to check it out and $12, you should definitely see it. It's pretty cool. And I went
okay.
on a hmm?
Yeah. No, I was just about to say I haven't been to the St. Louis Art Museum since I don't know. It's been 2007, something like that. So it's been a long
Is that when
time.
you last lived here?
Yeah. Well, I left in like 2010.
Okay.
But I hadn't been, so like a couple of years since before I left. So, but I've always loved the art museum. As you know, I'm an artist and all of
Yes.
that. So I've been there a bunch of times. But the idea of having a hip hop exhibition there, or I guess that's what you would call it.
Yeah.
I think it's dope. I definitely love rap music. I've been listening to rap music since I was a kid. My mom loved Tupac, so I grew up listening to Tupac. So I definitely would check it out if I were in town. So
I mean, but you will be in town, Jared.
I will be in town actually, and
You should if you
next
have
next week.
yeah, yeah, because this is going up actually Friday for us. So this is gonna be a quick turnaround. But yeah, like if you do have the time, you should definitely check it out.
So is it like a timeline of like the development of hip hop, or like how does it set up?
It's not exactly like in sequential order. It's just like a lot of various things. And then there's like some stuff where it's just like a person made this, like their interpretation of something.
Right, right.
So it's like it's a good hodgepodge of a lot of stuff.
That's pretty cool. What rap music do you listen to,
What rap music do I listen to?
or do you listen to
Uh
rap music?
yeah, I listen to everything. So I really like early 50 Cent.
Like Get
Um
Rich or Die Trying, or like Riding
no,
Apple, 50 Cent?
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's a
Yeah.
classic. Get Rich or
It
Die Trying
is.
is a classic. No
That is
skips. No skips on
yes.
that album.
For me, that's a desert island
I
album.
agree.
Like
I agree.
um let's see, who else do I like? I'm on the spot now, man.
Okay, while you
uh,
think of that, I just have to say, if we're talking about rap music, I personally don't think that there has ever been a person in the history of Earth who can rap better than Eminem. Rap better than Eminem. Nobody.
okay. I do like
I don't care
Eminem.
who you put up there, they will not out rap Eminem. That's just
Even
a fact, in my opinion.
but Buster moves so quickly.
Doesn't matter. He can't rap faster than him. I've heard it's a song called Speed Them, Speedom,
Okay.
and literally the song is like it's like a series from Tech Nine basically where he brings rappers in and they rap as fast as they can. And the Eminem verse on I think it's like the second iteration of Speed 'em is crazy. It's crazy. I highly encourage you to listen to it if you have never heard it. But it's like one of the fastest verses you'll ever hear anybody rap.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, so I got Eminem as like the best rapper. Maybe not the best artist, like in terms of like um, you know, I don't know. I just mean from a technical rapping level, putting words together,
Yeah.
putting syllables together. I don't think anybody can do what Eminem does.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I do like Eminem. Was it the Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP,
Yeah.
high school. I like Lil Kim. Lil Kim was like fucking sick as shit back
Lil
in the
Kim was
90s.
super dope back then.
Yeah, like yeah,
I like Lil Kim a lot.
yeah,
It's unfortunate what she
yeah,
did to herself
yeah,
because I thought she was gorgeous and now she just kind of looks like
yeah,
but yeah, she as a rapper I thought she was dope.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Jay-Z, he has some good shit.
Of
Like
course, of course.
there's a point now where it's like, I like the idea of Jay-Z, but I don't really want to hear what you have to say now.
Why is that?
I don't want to hear rich people actually like. It's one thing to like the rappers that like they got their little bonus check or whatever because they signed, but then
Yeah.
it's another thing for like a billionaire to be rapping about stuff.
That's fair. I suppose I could give you that, but
That's and
I
that's
also am
just
not saying that Jay Z.
that's just speaking for Chad.
No, I get it. I get it. I get what you're saying. That's understandable. I'm not mad at that at all. But I still think like rapping wise, again, like putting words together, putting songs together, sticking on a topic. Like I think that's one of the biggest problems that like one of the biggest issues that I have with like current rap is like you can't make a song that's like about a topic. Like most of the new rap songs that I hear, and I'll still listen to them just because I love loud bass, I love good beats. I used to make beats. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear something that's dope, I'm like, okay, I can listen to this, even though the lyrics are just sort of
Yeah,
throwaway or gibberish or whatever, and
yeah.
they
Well,
just it's the
what is
same two
the?
topics. You know what
It
I'm
was
saying?
it was like I remember I saw like a Facebook reel or story or whatever, like those videos on Facebook
Yeah,
where it was like a dude in the car and it was like trying to understand rap
yeah,
now, and it was like that song that go shh, shh, shh,
yeah,
like every time he
yeah.
like starts rapping he say shh, 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 shh. And
Yeah.
I thought that was just something like the person in the video made up until like
No, that's a
I was
legit song.
yeah, like I was like, wait, this is real? Why is this
Yes,
real? Who is
yes.
listening to this?
I don't know. It's crazy because you know what's funny? I went to when I had the same exact reaction that you did. I thought it was like a parody song,
Yeah,
and then I looked further into it. I went to YouTube. I found the actual official video for it, and it was actually people in the comments saying like, "You just don't understand the lingo. Like this is something that we do and stuff like that." And I was just like, "Wow!" Like I was I was literally like kind of taken aback. Like I, I didn't
you're
know what to
old.
say. Like, yeah, I
We
guess I
are
am.
old.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't get it at all. And like,
I think the song is called like Take That or something like that.
yeah, something like that. I can't remember. It's like gold. I can't remember the name of it, but it's literally just
Yeah.
that's basically the whole
Shh,
song.
shh. Like
Yeah.
she came over here and she
Yeah.
was like shh, 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 shh.
Yeah.
Like
That's
what?
literally
And then I
that's
said
literally the
shh, 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 shh.
yeah. It's crazy. It's like to me, like the lyrics of the song it's like I guess you could say it's like for me, it depends on who it is. Like if I'm listening to Jay-Z, for example, the beat might not be crazy, but
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to what he has to say. You
The
know what I'm
lyrics are
saying? The
gonna
lyrics
be,
is like what
yeah.
I'm looking for. So like it just kind of varies based on the artist. Like it could be a 50-50 thing where I'm like the beat could be 50%, the lyrics could be the other 50%.
Hmm.
Um, but so it just depends. But like with that song, for example, in particular, it's just like the beat is not crazy, number one. And number two, it's like he literally is not saying anything. He literally just
Yes.
said shh, shh, shh. So it's just, I don't know.
But
It's just like
that's
maybe
not
I
for
just
us,
don't get
man.
it.
That
Yeah,
is
it's not
not
for
for
me.
us. Those clicks and
It's
beats not
wild.
for us anymore, man.
And it's funny because like I know the older people who like prior to rap music coming out, or like at least like I guess I would say like the NWA era of
Hmm.
rap onward. I know they heard NWA and were like, "What is this?" Like they had the same reaction to NWA like as we had
Yep.
to the
I mean,
song.
it's all generational, man.
Yeah,
It's
it
all
is.
generational. So before we hit the main topic this week, just want to touch on Ahsoka. So the time of recording, the episode just the finale just
Yeah.
premiered, and overall, I'm gonna say that the series was fine. It was okay.
What would you
I,
give it out of 10?
I hate that, but if we're gonna do out of 10, I'd give it a 6 because I would give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay, I mean a 6 out of 10 is that's above average.
Yeah,
If a five is average, you
yeah.
give it a six. That's not terrible. It's above average. So
So like my complaints of the show are like this is a direct sequel to Rebels, which I
yeah,
didn't watch regularly. And
yeah,
so they don't really like hold your hand on like, hey, all right, if you didn't watch Rebels, they just like jump in, baby.
yeah.
And like I cannot stand the volume. Like I all I can see is fakeness. And it's like
I
we're on a
totally agree with you. Like in
it,
the first episode, when I was okay, full disclosure, I haven't finished the series. I've
mhm.
only seen maybe the first four episodes. But in the first episode, there's a scene where like she's going to get the map.
Like when she's on the
It's
highway.
like the very first thing. No, no, no. Ahsoka herself when
Oh
she's
yeah, yeah,
going,
yeah.
she's like
That
in a
desert
sort of
planet or
yeah
whatever. Yeah.
deserted planet or whatever, and it's just so clearly volume. And to me, it's like, look, I just watched Andor, and like
Mm,
I've not just watched it, but like that's like the
yeah.
last Star Wars content that I watched, and it's so real and like grounded and like
Real
clearly not
sets.
volume.
Real sets,
That when I
extras.
yeah, exactly. So when I watch this, it's just sort of like it's t- it's taking me out of it in a way. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel
And
realistic.
that's my issue yeah, I mean it's the same issue with all this stuff because like the world feels too empty. Like every time we're in space and we're flying to a planet, all you see is the planet. There's no debris, there's no
Yeah,
stars, there's no like comets or anything, there's no like other space stations or anything. It's just the planet you're going to. The
yeah,
very first episode when I forget her name, the Mandalorian woman, she's on her way home and she's driving down a highway and it's nothing on the highway. It's just her.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, why can't we populate? I understand there's a big ceremony happening in town, but not everybody goes to every celebration. Some people have to work. Like,
Right.
why is this world so empty?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And that's a big part of like making sci-fi worlds feel believable is like they feel lived in. You know what I'm saying? It's like it doesn't feel like it's just computer generated
Yeah.
and you just stick the character in there to have a setting. It's like you got to go. I wouldn't even say it's an extra step, but it's a necessary step
Mm-hmm.
to where you have other people who have nothing to do with the story. They got nothing to do with the characters, but they're just there because that's how life works. Other people,
Right.
you don't
Right.
have anything to do with them, but they're still there.
Like it,
So that's
like
a
if
big
you
part of
were
making it feel realistic.
like if you were filming this for real, you wouldn't just have the actors on set. You would have
Right,
extras and stuff like that. Yeah.
right.
Like did you get to the point it may have been the end of episode 2 where they go to like a shipping yard
Yes.
and like I was like so taken out. This is a shipping yard. and like half of the fight is on the ground and half the fight is
Yeah.
in the air, and there's nothing in the air except the two people, the people trying to get away and the pursuers.
Right.
There's
Right.
nobody coming in trying to get shipments. Nobody's taking shipments
Yeah.
out. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And that's a good point that you bring up because you could easily, not only from a lived in standpoint, would that make it better, but just from even from like a action scene standpoint,
Yeah.
where you could have it like, oh, I can't hit these random civilians. You know what I'm saying? You could
Mm-hmm.
complicate the
Stuff's
scene.
in the way.
Yes, yes, exactly. You don't want to make it so straightforward or from A to B. You can,
Right.
throw an A, B, C in there, and you got to avoid B to get to C. So that's just
I feel like, but that may also be indicative of them overworking visual effects
true,
staff.
true.
I mean, I can't speak for it, but I would assume that might be an element to it.
No, I'm almost 100% sure that that has something to do with it because it's not rocket science. People know like what it takes to make a world feel lived in. So if they're not doing it, it's probably for a reason. So
Yeah. But all right, that takes us to this week's discussion of the creator.
10 years ago today, the artificial intelligence created to protect us detonated a nuclear warhead in Los Angeles.
What's heaven?
It's a peaceful place in the sky. You gotta be a good person to go to heaven.
We're the same. We can't go to heaven because you're not good. And I'm not a person.
All right, so we're gonna do movie is still in the theater rule. So we're gonna build to it. So we're gonna talk snacks. We're gonna talk the audience reaction. But basically, the movie description is the future. It is the future that Sarah Connor tried to stop.
yes.
Uh, AI is out here wilding. But so you went to the theater, Jared, and you had some issues before you even got to the theater.
Yeah. So normally I go to it's the theater here in Texas called Evo, which is like the best theater. They have it's like an IMAX equivalent, which is what I usually see all of my movies on. Um, but in this case, they didn't have a Thursday showing, like the preview, I guess you would
Mm-hmm.
say the day before the official premiere. So I had to go to um, a theater called Santikos, which is like it's decent, it's pretty good. Both of the places are like entertainment centers, I guess you could say, where they have like laser tag and arcades and bowling and food and all of that. So both facilities are equal basically, but the Evo Theater is just better. But in this case, I had to go to Santikos, which is they're literally like 2 minutes away from each other. If you leave Santikos and you want to go to Evo, you just drive down the street 2 minutes and you'll be at Evo. So I had to settle for Santikos, but it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. So it's like slightly above average.
Okay.
Um, so it didn't ruin my experience, but I would much rather have seen it at Evo.
Okay.
But I'm just
Um.
being snobby. I'm just being a little snobby when I say it. Like the Santikos theater is totally fine. Like it's
No, no, I
it's
get it.
nothing wrong with it, but like the Evo one is just like a notch better. So I prefer to see movies there. But Santikos is fine.
I get it. Like, so I'm an AMC guy, AMC A list. So like I'm
Yeah.
paying the monthly fee. And so uh where I am, there's two theaters within like 10 minutes of me. And then you've got the Esquire that's about 20 minutes. But the thing is, like, if I want to see IMAX at an AMC, that's a 40-minute drive to Edwardsville. And so I kind of thought about making that drive, but I'm like, I don't really want to do that on a Thursday night.
Right.
And like maybe if the screening was like at 4 or 5, and like when I got out, the sun would still be up, maybe. But I was like, nah, I don't want to roll the dice.
You are
So
old.
yeah, yes, I am. I am he and he is me. Yeah, yeah. But no, it was so I went to the one in St. Charles. That's usually my go-to. Got me a large popcorn and soda. I just tuckered
40
in.
bucks. 40
Yeah,
bucks right there.
yeah. So how was what snacks you get?
I actually just went with the icy. Oh, my
Really?
showing was 9:30.
Oh, that's right. You went to a late
Yeah,
show.
so I
That's
had the
right.
super late show, so I ate dinner and everything before I went, so I wasn't hungry or anything. So I just went with the classic blue icy. We don't do flavors, we just say the color. Blue icy. That's
Yeah,
what we did.
it's just like Gatorade, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I went to the 6 o'clock show and I went by myself. Usually I'll go with somebody that like carries a purse. So I've been like sneaking water into the theater because I'll buy
Of course.
popcorn, but like dude, I don't need a soda.
Yeah.
But so I just went all in. And then like my audience is like it was an okay. Well, actually, this was interesting because like I bought the tickets like earlier in the week. And what I do when I buy my tickets, I add it to my Apple Wallet like
Yes.
immediately.
Same. Yeah.
And so when I went in and the woman scanned my thing, she was all like, "Oh, hey, you act like the Apple Wallet said I was in theater 3 and like I was like K12. I'm just throwing
Hmm.
it, but
Right.
I was actually supposed to be in theater 3. So she's when the woman scanned my ticket, she's like, "Oh, hey, you're in theater 1 and you're in some other seat." And I was like, "Yeah, okay. Whatever." Not thinking, not processing. And so like, I get my snacks and then I'm walking to and I look at my phone. I'm like, all right, it's at theater 3. And I'm like, wait a minute. I think she said my theater's different. So then I actually go back into the AMC app and then like they changed it to theater 1 and then but my seat number's the same. So it's like K something. So I'm walking up and I'm walking up and I'm looking for K and like that letter's not there. Like the like it stops at like I. So I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
where's my seat? So I go back out to the living room, the
Yeah.
main box office thing. And she's like, "Oh yeah, you got it. You're not that high." So I'm like, "Okay, this is a lot of back and forth, but okay."
Yeah.
But we had a good crowd, but honestly, I don't remember hearing them at all during the movie.
No applause, no gasps, anything.
I don't recall any of that.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because well, first of all, I don't know if this movie is particularly like
There were a few moments
cheer
where
heavy.
there were some gas moments.
Yeah, I would say that, but I don't think it's like well, I mean, I guess mine is a little bit skewed because I went so late at night and it wasn't like super packed. But I don't know if I would say that this movie is like, and this is not a slight on the movie, but I don't know if I would say it's like cheery in any way where you would expect applause or anything like that. Or do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree with that, but like there were moments where you could get there for an audience to make noise.
Yeah, I would agree. Uh, I thought it was some comedy beats
Yeah.
that I heard from my audience where we kind of laughed. So that was there. But I don't, like as far as like loud exclamations or anything like that, I don't think my theater had anything like that either.
Yeah. So before you saw the movie, did you have any hopes and wishes or expectations?
Yeah, I thought it would be honestly it was so just to give like background, I watched the first teaser trailer for it and that was it. I didn't watch any other trailers because I don't like to
Yeah.
watch too many trailers so they give too much away. So I watched the first teaser, and with me, when I see something in the trailer, and even if it's a teaser, it kind of maps the movie out for me. Like my brain just works in a way where, like, if I see you in a desert background, I know the movie is going to be in a desert at some point. So it
No,
kind of like,
I got you. I
you know
got
what
you.
I mean? So
You're waiting on that scene.
right, right. So that's why I try to avoid watching the later official trailers and trailer two and TV spots and all of that. So I was expecting it to be pretty much what it was. It was a few surprises in there. So I'm not complaining about it or anything, but it was pretty much on par with what I was expecting, aside from a few things here and there.
Yeah, like I look from like the trailer that I saw, like I really wasn't expecting too much like off what I saw. Like, yeah, this is a derivative of like what we've been getting a lot, what The Last of Us and The Mandalorian,
Yeah,
where tough grizzled ex whatever man,
yeah,
he has to transport a child somewhere, and along the way he has adopted that child.
yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, yeah, that's basically the synopsis for the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen this story so many times. All
Yeah.
right. So that's going to take us into like actual movie discussion. So, like I said, since this movie's still in the theater, there's going to be segments. We're going to do non-spoilers, and then we're going to talk spoilers. So, in our non-spoiler section, Jared, what were your negatives?
My negatives would probably be some of the editing. I thought there was a few things in the movie where it was sort of and this could be for runtime. I'm sure they shot these scenes and they just cut them for, the sake of the runtime being manageable.
Mhm.
But I felt like there were some scenes where and this might be a little bit nitpicky, but I felt like there were some scenes where the characters would be in one place and then suddenly they would be in another place. But it wasn't to the point where I was like taken out of the movie. You know what I mean? But I noticed it and I was like, wait, how did they just overcome this obstacle?
Yeah.
It was sort of like that kind of a thing. That was like one of the things that I noticed. The story itself was it wasn't particularly like innovative or like um revolutionary or like something I'd never seen before. So I guess you could put that as a negative, but I don't expect every movie to be like crazy and new and fresh. So I would still put it as a negative because it wasn't a positive. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
it's just sort of in between.
Okay. I would have liked a little bit more world building. And I'm gonna get into this more in spoilers, but it's like I feel like we got a pretty decent grasp of the movie during the first two acts of it. But
Hmm.
then in the third act, they were like, "Oh, hey, here's some other stuff that we didn't mention at all that is possible in this universe." And I'm like, "What? Where did that come from? What are we doing here?"
Yeah, we can definitely get into those things in spoilers.
And then it's like Allison Janning's character, she mentions like a synthoid.
Hmm.
And like are the synthoids the ones that they have the faces of people, but the back of their heads are exposed?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, okay. So like she was saying that one of them convinced her son that they were basically an indentured servant and he was trying to pay her tab and then he was hurt. And like I wanted to explore more of that where they're saying not Allison Janning's story, but like they're saying like some of these synthoids or whatever they were called, they were like doing things against their will. And then it's like it would kind of introduce the idea of like, do they have souls?
Right.
So I wish that we could have like gone a little further along that line of thinking. Like why fully introduce that and say that specific sequence of words if we aren't going to follow that up in any other way. I mean, technically you could say like the main character, the little girl, has a soul,
Yeah.
but she's also supposed to be different.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me, like when you talk about movies, because on one hand, with something like that, I definitely agree with you. You could because something like that, if you explore it more, you could sort of flesh out the world and give
Mm-hmm.
us a better idea and understanding of the like the I guess you could say trials and tribulations of what like the AI robots go through,
Yeah.
possibly. But on the other hand, it's like if you do that, how much does that play into the actual story that the movie is trying to tell? So it's like a balance of like, should we go into this or should we just keep it on track with like what the main character is doing?
No,
So
and
it's
I feel that, but like just sticking to the Allison Jannings story, her story could have just been like, oh yeah, my son was in the military, He saw like a synthoid woman being attacked, and he went to help her, and then it was like
A setup.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like to tell that kind of detailed story and to
No,
not
you're right. You're
explore
right.
that.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's like, why introduce it if you're not gonna
Yeah.
expound on it more? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you on that. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
So like I just had some issues with the world building, but yeah, what about positives?
Positives, I have to go VFX, right up my
Man,
alley.
just this movie is just $70 million.
Crazy. I have seen movies that cost $200 million that don't look half as good as this movie.
Yeah, they look, yeah, like at no point during this movie was I taken out of it because I'm like that's CGI. And like I can't tell you how many times in a Marvel movie or a DC movie or any of
Absolutely.
these other high budget movies where I'm just instantly snapped out of it because I'm like, oh wait, those effects don't look good.
Yes, The Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those babies.
And that movie was like $200 million. I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look anywhere near as good as this movie. Like, I just knew that this movie was at least $150 million.
Yes.
And when I saw that it was only 70 or 80 or whatever it is, I think it's
Mhm.
70. I was just like, wow, like it, you know what it reminded me of District 9. Have you ever seen District 9?
I saw it in the theater. Yes.
Okay. So you know, I haven't seen it in a long time, like maybe 10 years. But I just remember at the time when I watched District 9, I was like, I can't believe how good this movie looks. And it was for a very low budget. That's what this
Yeah.
movie reminds me of. It's like, how are you pulling this off? How does it look so good? Every shot looks crazy.
Real. It
So
looks
yes, it
real.
looks very real. I didn't see anything that was particularly like, and I have an eye for this stuff. Like when I see something that looks off, like it'll bother me to a degree. But with this, I was just like, it was just like hats off to the VFX team because this is
Yes.
crazy looking. Yeah.
Yes. Have you seen this director's first theatrical movie? The director is Gareth Edwards, and his first theatrical movie is a movie called Monsters.
Is that the
Um,
animated movie?
no, it's a live action film. It came out in
Monsters.
2010, and I'm looking at his IMDb, and I've seen all of his like theatrical movies.
You're like Rogue One is on there, right?
Uh-huh, and Godzilla, the
Yeah.
one with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah. And Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah. So Monsters is a really impressive movie. It's a movie where like there are monsters, like
Mhm.
Godzilla type monsters. Um and there is a man is hired by like a rich guy to get his daughter out of Mexico because like there was just an attack. And
Yeah.
so the movie is just them trying to get back to America, but monsters could attack and you gotta, scramble.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie, and it's like it's a there are effects because there's monsters and shit.
Sure.
But like there's like one big giant set piece, but then there's just like moments where it's just like acting, and then it's like, oh shit, there's a monster, you know.
Mhm.
But the effects look really good, and what I bring this up because like, he all of his theatrical films have been science fiction, and the
Yeah.
man knows how to work with effects. And I'm sure Rogue One had a lot of issues, like they technically rumor has it he didn't really direct the
Yeah.
final cut.
Reshoots and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. But from what we've seen, like the man knows how to like make effects pop.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that he got the opportunity to he got $70 million to make this beautiful movie. But I will
Yes.
say when I saw the trailer, I was like, this looks cool, but this won't make any money. And I was sad that that was reinforced when we saw the box office.
Yeah. It's just sad because like I hear people talk all the time about how, Hollywood is so unoriginal. They never make anything, new. Everything is a remake, everything is a sequel. But when something like this comes out where it's like it's totally new, It's not a sequel. I don't think it's based on anything. I could be wrong, but even if it
I
is,
don't
it's
believe
not.
so.
It's not something that's known. If it is,
Yeah.
and it's like you don't go see it. So it's like they respond to what your wallet says. So if you don't go see something that's original like this movie, they're gonna say, okay, well, the sequel that we made or this remake that we put out made X amount of dollars. Let's keep doing that because that's what's bringing the money in. So
Right.
it's just frustrating to me. Like, I don't think this is like the best movie of the year, but I think it's a
No,
solid movie.
it is.
I
It's
would recommend people to go see it. So it's frustrating to me, like when people make the argument of like the unoriginality, but at the same time they don't go see movies like this that are original.
right. Like if I had the time, I would see this in the theater again. It's absolutely beautiful. Um, no, I'm 100% with you. It's like, what do you do? But like, I want to say, part of me wants to say that that's the kind of environment that we are in now,
Yeah,
where if people aren't familiar with it, they aren't going to spend the money because if you just wait probably 3 weeks, this is going to be on video on demand. Like, I can't tell you how many movies I saw this summer where like not even a month later it was on video on demand.
yep, yep. You're absolutely right. Totally right.
So I don't know, like, and then you look at something like what was that, Elemental,
Hmm.
which uh, on paper it bombed when it released, but they wouldn't release it on Disney Plus, and it just stayed in the theater to the point where it made its money back.
Yeah, yeah,
So like, if stuff would have a longer time to cook, maybe because like I would love to be in a world we aren't in that world anymore, where this doesn't do too well the first weekend, but then it gets a big bump on the second weekend.
yeah,
That's not how movies work anymore.
yeah.
But
For the most part, for the most
yeah,
part.
yeah.
If it's like very exceptional movies can get that. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once, for example,
Okay, that's a
was
good point.
like
That's a good point.
the legs that movie had. It was like off the charts, but that's rare. Like you normally don't see a movie do a certain amount of money and then it stays at that same amount of money the second week, and then it exceeds that the third week. Like where the word of mouth is like so crazy that people go see it. It's usually a situation like I suspect this will be, where it's like it peaks at a low number and then it goes down and goes down and goes down. And it's just unfortunate because like this is a solid movie. Like I would recommend this over any of the Transformers movies. You know what I'm saying? And like just because it has a Transformers name, it's gonna make a higher
I
amount of
mean,
money than a movie like
sadly, that
this.
last one didn't make it kind of bombed, but yeah.
In comparison to the
Yes,
budget,
in
yes.
compare, yeah.
Right, right.
But yeah. Did you have any other thoughts before we transition?
No, I'm ready for spoilers.
Okay, so before we actually do that, would you recommend this film? And
Oh yeah.
if okay, and if you do, in what avenue?
I would recommend it as a theater watch. If you can't make it to the theater, definitely watch it on digital. Like pay for it on digital.
Don't stream it.
Like yeah, like rent it because I feel like it deserves the money um from the consumer, Like
Yeah.
even though it was made for 70 million, like these dudes who put in the work to make this world come to life, like visually,
Mm-hmm.
they deserve to have their work recognized. So if you can rent it, or at least, or first I would say go see it in theaters because it's
Yeah.
definitely beautiful. It's a beautiful. There's like not a shot in this movie where you can say, "Oh, that looks off," or "That's iffy,"
Yes.
or anything like that. It all looks legit. So go see it in the theater. If you cannot see it in the theater, definitely rent it. And if you can't rent it, at least just watch it. Like at least just watch it and say, "Wow, I can't believe they pulled that off." So
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Like, I also recommend, like, if you can see this movie, go sit in the theater. Like, I get it. Like, go on $5 Tuesday, but
yeah,
see it in the theater. See it on the biggest screen that you can. Like, I also agree. As for VOD, I mean, give them that money. But if you have to stream it, give get those people their 12 cents per stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get those residuals in.
Right.
Yeah.
But all right, spoilers. We are in the spoiler section. I'm gonna go first, Jared.
All right.
I was feeling this movie, and I was like, no ifs, ands, or buts. I am going to go see this movie again in the theater. And then we get to the third act, and like John David Washington has like oh, also I guess this is not spoiler. I thought it was really funny, like how in the beginning of the movie he just sounds so much like his dad.
Dude, I swear, I promise you, I was about to say the exact. Okay, before I go any further, I know you are talking about the scene where he's in the bed.
Yep.
Yes, he sounds exactly like Denzel. I could not believe it. I was like, that's literally just Denzel. Like, I
Yes.
couldn't believe it. Like, I had heard it in Tenet a little bit. When I saw him in Tenet, I was like, he's kind of sound like Denzel right there.
Well,
But in
the
this movie,
the problem with Tenet was the sound mixing. You couldn't hear
yeah,
anything.
when you could hear him. But like, and I swear to you, I knew, well, I didn't know you were going to say that, but I was definitely going to say that. And when you said he sounded like him, I knew you were talking about that bed scene because I thought the
Mhm.
exact same thing. He sounds exactly like Denzel. It's like
Yes.
uncanny how much he sounds like his dad in that scene.
But okay, so like John David Washington's plan is they're going to take a rocket ship to the moon because apparently in this universe, space travel's a thing. And
Yes.
I'm like, where did this come from? Like, I get it that we are in a universe where we have like artificial intelligence and robots and shit walking around, but like there's space travel, not just space travel, but we colonize the moon. Like, where did that come from?
Yes. Yes. And it's funny because, like, for me personally, all you have to do to alleviate something like this is like it could even be like something playing on TV in the background where you're saying yes, trips to the moon are as low
Yep.
as
Yep.
whatever amount, and then that way you can just say, okay, it's planted in the audience's mind that you can take trips to the moon. It's literally that simple. Like you don't even have to waste like an actor or a background actor or
Yep.
anything like that. You could just put it on the, on a TV screen or on an advertisement or whatever, and you could just alleviate that problem. But I know exactly what you're talking about because I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it. It's the future. It's advanced. You got AI robots and whatnot. I guess going to the moon wouldn't be a leap, but at least give me a little
Yeah, that
inkling
this is a
that
thing
moon
that the
travel is possible. Yeah.
yeah. So like I understand like from a script perspective, we needed them to get to the space station. And
Yes.
I appreciated that they weren't stupid. And when they captured them at the end of the second act, that they didn't just take them to the space station. Because like
Right.
that's dumb. I
Yes.
appreciate that they didn't do that. But part of me wishes that they would have just did that. Because like at least like we aren't adding new elements to the story where like at least for me, that took me out of the movie. The effects were on point, but like
Yeah.
this story beat took me all the way out the movie.
That's fair.
But yeah, so like everything that was happening, like we introduced like the synthoid of his wife, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. It was a little cheap. It was a
Yeah,
little cheap, sort of emotional
for no
catharsis, I
reason.
guess you could
Yeah,
say, to
I
give him or
guess.
whatever before he
If, I mean,
explodes.
he mentioned early on if he just had one more minute with her, I got it. I get it. I
Although I do have to say, not to cut you off, but I do
no,
have to
you're
say,
fine.
like, I do appreciate that she wasn't just alive, the wife,
Oh,
because
that
like
is so true. Yeah,
I was like, okay, I just saw a gigantic bomb blow her up. Like she, we didn't see a body. We know in
yeah,
movies if you don't see the body, nobody's technically dead.
right.
So I was like, okay, but like I saw like this huge spaceship, which is like literally built to blow people up, explode like right next to her boat. And so when she was revealed to be like in a coma or whatever, or like on life support or a vegetable state, I guess you could say, or whatever it is,
Yeah,
I was like,
all of
okay,
those
I'm
are correct.
happy. Yeah, I'm happy that she's not just alive and walking around and normal.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So I thought that was a good move on their part.
And I really like the line where he was saying where was it can't even think of his name. Ken Watanabe. I think it was him where
Yeah,
he was like, we're programmed not to hurt her. So like they can't even
yeah,
pull
they
the
can't pull
plug
the
on.
plug. Yeah,
And like that was just so sad. And I'm like,
Yeah, it
we were
was.
still in the mode of like, I love this movie.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this during the non-spoilers, but two things. I love the tech where you could copy somebody's brain and put it in a robot, but
Yeah.
like depending on how long they've been dead, that dictates how long that brain is good.
Right, right. It's very brief. Yeah, depending on
Yeah.
how long you've been dead. It basically is like the survivability of like,
Mm-hmm.
being able to transfer that consciousness to a robot or whatever. So stuff like that I think is dope. Like where it's
Yeah.
like the tech is there, but
Yes.
it's like not perfect, and it's like you can do it, but it has limitations. So
Yes.
it's like I think stuff like that is like where it's like okay, it's like it's realistic to a point where
It's realistic to
it's
this world. It makes sense to this world.
yes,
Like they introduced that, and I wasn't like, what the fuck is happening here? I'm like, this
yeah,
makes sense for this universe. Space travel
yes.
doesn't, but this makes sense for this universe.
No, you're right. You're right. I thought that was dope. Like it's just this movie has a lot of ideas that I think are really
Mm-hmm.
cool. Even if they're not like the freshest, newest, ideas that we haven't seen before, I still appreciate it like that they didn't take it to a certain place. Like even in this movie, like it's like the AI is like technically the bad guys, but it's like, are they really? Like
Yeah, I
because
really
they're
love that seed of doubt, and they were like, "Hey, the bad stuff the bomb that went off, that was human error,
yeah, that was human
and
error.
it was mentioned, but we never came back to it again, but logged."
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
it's just planting the seed. So you don't really know 100% for sure
right.
if it is human error or if it's not. And like based on, it's funny going back to what you mentioned with the like the army lady character, I forget her name.
Allison Janney, that's her real
Yeah,
name.
so she basically what she was saying with her son was like the AI, one of the AI robots tricked her son and set him up or whatever. So we know that the AIs like are like capable of trickery. So
Yes.
when Ken Watanabe says like that was human error, it's like he could be telling the truth. We don't have
Mm-hmm.
any reason to believe that he's not telling the truth. But at the same time, we've already introduced this idea that they can trick you. You know what I mean? Based on what she was saying. But I'm inclined to believe that it is true. What he said was true about, about the explosion being human error.
Right,
So
but I also like how the movie never technically said John David Washington was right.
yes.
Like it felt like yes, what the government was doing was extreme,
Hmm.
but at no point. And yeah, okay, the robot looks like a kid. It's not actually a fucking kid.
Right.
So like the stuff they were doing to it, it feels bad because that's our natural reaction to children. But like it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like they never were like, hey, the government is the bad guy. And I really do appreciate that. So,
I definitely agree with you.
so technically he was a terrorist.
Exactly. He was like enemy of the he's like treasonous ex-military member. But
Right.
like I always me personally, I prefer the gray area. Like if it were up to me, a lot more stories would be more gray rather than black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having just a bad guy and a good guy, you got a character who is the protagonist. He or she might not necessarily be quote unquote the good guy, but we're following their story and we tend to side with whoever we're following. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
in this case, it's sort of like a gray area where it's like we don't really know for sure if we are following the good guy, quote unquote. We just happen to be following them because the movie doesn't say this is the good guy, these are the bad guys, and lay it all out for you. I much
Right.
prefer that type of movie.
Right. Same.
Yeah.
But also that's general audiences don't like that shit.
Yeah, they tend to test badly and all of that, but
Yeah.
I just, I like the moral ambiguity a lot more than like the clear cut. This is how you
Yes.
should feel narrative, So I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
But also something else that could have been in non-spoilers. I liked that Allison Janney was the antagonist on the ground. Like she's
Yeah,
like in her 60s. I've never seen her play like an outright villain. And it's like, yeah, I was afraid of her. Like she
she was
was
cool.
she was doing some stuff out there, and it's like also I like how like then her not her initial scene, but her second scene when they're on the plane and she explains her motivations for doing
Hmm.
this. And it's like she's not being evil to be fucking evil. It's like, bro, like we all got skin in the game one way or another. And it's like
Yep.
you are impeding the mission.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. It goes back to what I was saying. Like, for example, if this movie were focused on her character, she would be the protagonist of
Right.
the movie, and
Right.
John David Washington would be the bad guy, quote unquote. So it's like it's gray. It's not black and white. Easily you can see if you jumped into her shoes, she is the hero of her
Yes.
story.
Yes.
So, and by the way, like one thing that I really liked about her is like she is totally believable. Like I've always said, like, for example, if you look at like for me personally, Captain Marvel, like with Brie Larson, I just don't buy Brie Larson as like a badass Captain Marvel. But like if you look at a movie like Atomic Blonde, I buy Charlize Theron as like a super spy badass. I don't know how to explain it. It's just for me, it's like a level of believability that she has here in this role, and I'm just like, even though she's an older lady, like I totally buy that
Yeah.
she is in this role and she wants to get the mission done, and she's like just on her path to get it done. So
Yeah, like, and it's also like she wasn't doing like flipping people and all this stuff. It's like
yeah,
there was some gunplay, but for the most part, she was just being authoritative, which makes
yeah,
sense because she was like a captain or a colonel or something. So
yeah. She's like the leader. Yeah.
yeah, so like it all made sense. Like I agree. Like she was, I believed that this character existed, and like
Yeah,
they don't really play up it, but like, yeah, she is older. And like
yeah,
she is probably in this, she's probably stayed in longer than she needed to, but what else does she have to go home to?
right, right. It's for the purpose of the mission, you
Right.
know. Oh, okay. I just thought. I just came. This came to my mind. This goes to like an example of the editing stuff that I was talking about. So maybe I'm confused, but during like the final scene where John David Washington is putting the kid like on the escape pod, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ship, the main ship, the big ship starts to
The
blow up, right?
tentacles, like where the fuck the
So,
tentacles come from?
not only that, I forgave the tentacles.
Where the
But
fuck did I forgot about the
I don't
tentacles?
I
What
don't know
what
what the
what were
tentacles
the tentacles?
bro. I don't know the tentacle heads. Like in my head, I was like, okay, these are like service tentacles, like they repair the ship or something. That's how I rationalized it in my head at the
Okay.
moment.
Okay.
But like, so we see John David Washington. He like presses the button, sends the escape pod off into space to escape the explosion. Right? Maybe I'm confused, but we see like they show exterior view and like the ship is exploding, and then we cut back like they show a few other things, then we cut back to John David Washington, and suddenly he's like in the garden area with like
Mm-hmm.
his wife robot,
Yeah.
and I was just like, wait a minute, how did he get from the pod escape area all the way back during the explosions to the grassy garden area?
Why is there a grassy area on the ship?
Why did he go back there?
Yeah, because he didn't know that was
He
a
didn't,
thing.
yeah, he had no idea that that robot was there.
But also, why would you keep all those robots on your super weapon? What if they
I
came on?
no idea. I don't know. Third act is the weakest act,
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah.
Um, I don't think it's like awful, like unforgivably bad,
It's
but
just
it's
not
just the
well
weakest
thought
act.
out. It's not
Yeah,
well
it's
thought
just the
out.
weakest act. Yeah.
Like I
Uh,
understand they needed the characters to get there. I get
yeah.
it. But then like they didn't like one, they didn't really have a good idea on how to get them there. And then they didn't really have a good idea on what that looks like. So also like did they basically murder the people that got off the ship got off the rocket ship because they had to make that emergency landing? Did they murder
Yeah.
those people?
Uh, the movie, I think from what the movie presents to us, that yes,
Okay. I just want to make sure we're on
yes,
the same page.
yes, I'm pretty sure. Like the movie doesn't say anything to the contrary.
Yeah.
So like just logically speaking, I would assume yes, which is kind of crazy, but
Right.
And then like, yeah, I don't know. It was a few editing things that like, and again, like I said, could be like they have explanations for these things, but they were left on a cutting room floor. So I'm giving them like, a little bit of leeway, but like all I can judge based on is like what I saw in the theater.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, I don't understand why he would even go back to that grassy area. He had no reason to go back there.
Maybe I'm hoping maybe this third act was studio mandated. Like maybe it tested poorly.
Yeah.
And so maybe they were like, okay, we gotta shoot a new ending. Hopefully that's it. And the original ending is like very artistic.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. But the studios, we both know when they throw their hands in the pot, you never know what could come out. You know what
That's
I'm
very
saying?
true.
So you could have the most incredible ending, and if it tests terribly, depending on the 30 people who happen to be testing movies that day, and they say, "Oh, I don't like this," the mandate comes down, you got to change your ending. So it sucks, but it's like part of the filmmaking process at this point.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do a quick IMDb, then get out of here. I'm not sure if you saw it on the outline, but what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes was?
I have not seen it.
Okay.
If I had to guess, I would say it's like a 7.
It's 7?
Yeah.
No, critics score, Jared. Critics.
Oh, Rotten Tomatoes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Critics score
259 critic reviews.
It's hard to say, man. Critics can go either way, but I'll say well, since I said 7 and you had like a violent reaction to me saying 7,
7?
I'm gonna say
a single digit number from critics that like artsy movies because they see nothing but fucking dribble every week.
Okay, I'll give it a 8.3.
No, 100 out of 100%. That's why I was like
83.
Okay, because when you're like 7 out of 100,
Yeah,
I'm like, what are you
because I
talking
was
about?
thinking. Well, it was because when you first introduced this, you said IMDb.
Oh,
You didn't
okay.
say Rotten
I'm
Tomatoes. You
sorry.
didn't say Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, that's my bad.
Yes.
I
I
didn't
said
realize
83.
I didn't realize I said that. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
68.
68?
Yeah. I'm gonna hope that
That's close. That's
yeah.
close to 7.
I'm gonna hope that that it's 68 because people were mad at the third act. I'm hoping that's why it's because the first two
Honestly,
acts are like high 80s.
are solid. They're solid.
Yeah.
It's hard though because like I wouldn't fight you if you said you had this at like a 68 or a 6.8, whatever you want to call it, whatever scale you want to use. I wouldn't fight it, but I would say I personally had it a little higher. But I wouldn't fight it just because that last act is like a little
It
like
brings
for
down the
example,
movie.
yeah, it does. But if you could have finished this out strong with like a third act that was equal to like the second act or the first act, it would easily be like a 8.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
But the third act definitely did drag it down. So I'm not angry at a 6.8, but I feel like me personally, knowing like the hard work that goes into like the VFX and like all of that to make this movie look this good on this budget. And I know this is not like technically speaking like movie specific, like in terms of like story and all of that stuff that other people look at. But to me, it's got to be higher than a 68. To me,
I get it, but it's also the average. So it's an average of all the reviews. I mean, there's some people that's just gonna straight up not like it for like the religious overtones and shit.
Yeah, and like the government and the U.S. government and bombing other countries and all of that stuff. I don't know, man. Yeah. I was about to go into a whole other thing, but I'm not even gonna go there.
But all right. Thanks for like just doing this in the middle of the week with me, man. And it's like, it's fun to chit chat with you, Jared. And we will see you back on the show in the coming weeks. We got something cooking. some
Yes.
a little unresolved business, if you will.
Yes, I will be back.
Thank you so much for listening. Please rate, like, and review our podcast on your platform of choice. If you have any feedback, please email us at weusedtotalkpod@gmail.com. Follow us on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. It is a thing. We have it. We don't use it, but we have it. At We Used to Talk Pod. Follow me on Letterboxd at BOW1213 and Matt at Mr. King 0257. Jared, do you have Letterboxd?
Yes, but I don't use it. I
It's-
created it, put a few movies in, and never touched it again. But
It's all good. It's all good. All right, that's the show. And wait, did you want to do an outro, or do you just want me to close it out?
yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Jared __ France France, and hit that follow button. Let me yeah. I don't know. I lost it there.
Okay. But yeah, so thank you for listening, and now you know what we used to talk about at work.